Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's my first podcast of the year, and I'm excited to be hosting it. Got a few more people jumping in the room, and yeah, so first podcast of the year. It's a little late for me. I usually start a little earlier, but here we are. It is what it is, right? Just been a little bit running around. So welcome and thanks, and this is being recorded, so just make sure if you say something, it's going to be recorded and it's going to be posted. So keep that in mind. So, anyway, I appreciate you guys joining, and I'm here to share a little bit of a message that I've been reflecting on for a bit. Every year, as we come into the new year, we usually hold a workshop or a lesson on intention, setting intentions for the year, setting intentions, or people work on what they work on New Year's resolutions or setting goals for the year. And and then in the work in our classes that we teach all the time, we're teaching sound, whether it's sound or mindfulness or meditation or whatever it is. The very first subject is usually intention. Um, we spend a whole lot of time, and I spend a whole lot of time using that word intention. And oftentimes, when people come into our 4 day class or come to a retreat, I'm going to warn you, I'm going to say intention probably a billion times over the next couple of days. And um, because truly I believe in the work of transformation and in the work that we're doing. Intention is everything. Intention is everything. If we're not doing things with intention, we're not going to get where we need to go. But here's what I really wanted to focus on today. Simply having an intention isn't enough. The intention needs to be put in action and practice. And that's where we come into being intentionally. And that's the subject, that's the title of this podcast, intentionally intentional. Um, if we truly want to lean into transforming our life, we have to start with purposeful intention, not just using a word, but using purpose and action behind the words. So many people who are taking the steps of transformation aren't successful because they're doing it without intention. And so many teachers and coaches and the coaching model that I studied for many years, it's about guiding their clients to focus on a goal. But what's the point of a goal if it's not connected with and in line with our intentions? Attempting to transform without being intentional during the process can be so frustrating and at best and unsuccessful at worst. Because when we get to that point where we reach the goal, is like, is that all there is? This isn't even what I really wanted. That person who spent all that time paying that coach or sitting in sessions or reflecting, this is all there is. I thought this was going to be different. Well, it would be if it was intentional instead of just being goal oriented. So, anyway, let's get to the basis and remember sometimes to move forward, we have to unlearn something in order to create some space for something new. So, don't get frustrated. This isn't about scolding or saying somebody's been doing something wrong. It's a shift in perhaps perspective, and it's something I've been working on shifting myself. When we speak about intention setting, a lot of the time when we talk about starting the day with an intention like gratitude or patience or presence or acceptance, and those are some of my go tos in the work of being intentional, we understand we have to keep doing that over and over and over. It's not one and done. We have to continue to practicing it. And I can't expect that saying I'm going to practice gratitude today means I get to check that off my list and suddenly I'm grateful for everything that's in my life. It's a practice. I have to keep coming back to it. But here's the thing, it can't only be about stating an intention. We state the intention and then we have to act on it. Otherwise, it's just a word, right? Intention without action actually is useless. We have to act with intention. Well, what does that even mean? Don't we already act with intention in our life? On the surface, it might seem like it, right? We have the intention to wake up in the morning and we wake up, hopefully. We have the intention to meditate and we meditate. But are those real intentions or just things on our to do list? When we speak about intentions, we're going beyond the everyday list of things to do. Doing the same thing every day doesn't lead to real change. And even changing the way we do things every day, if we just change the order of it, are we really changing anything? To change, we need to change at the core. To transform, we have to transform and get back into this space, and oftentimes get out of this space. Intention should be heartfelt, centered, and part of who we are at our core. Things like gratitude and kindness and acceptance, forgiveness and compassion, faith and hope, all of those things that exist within us. And I believe those things aren't foreign to us. The seeds of these intentions exist in all of us, but so many people don't nurture them or they see them from the wrong perspective, right? Unfortunately, again, the teachers and the preachers and the power seekers tell us that we have to do this thing or that thing in order to be worthy of something like love, or these are the steps that you need to take in order to be grateful, or this is what's required in order to forgive. I say that's BS. Love is part of us. Compassion is part of us. Kindness, it's there. We just may not practice it all the time. We might not even know where to start, right? Well, living intentionally means living our life in line with our fundamental values in pursuit of our why. Our why is our purpose, and it's our reason for being. And as I teach so often, we need to reawaken the curiosity and say, why? Why am I doing this thing? What is your why? Everyone's why is different, but our why gets us into that space where we start reflecting on what our reason for being is. This is where we start doing the work. But again, how much time do we spend reflecting or asking ourselves about our why, right? It's not a question that comes up. Can you imagine that you catch up with a friend or a family member after some time, and instead of saying, "Hi, how you doing today?" you say, "Hi, what's your why today?" Huh, that'd be a weird start. And you better be ready, because if they start telling you what their why is, at the end of it is like, what is your why, right? But isn't that a better question? Shouldn't we be reflecting on that? But don't do that just yet. We don't want to change the world that quickly. But after the why, we need to start determining the steps that we're willing to take to bring that action into our intentions. How do we take the steps, and how do we align our intentions with our why? Again, having the intention to change is great, but unless we take action, nothing's going to happen. In fact, if we don't do anything with the intention, then perhaps the intention is to do nothing. Maybe subconsciously in our mind, we're thinking, I'm going to set intention, and that's my thing to do today. My intention today is to be grateful. Check. And as you go through the day, you're looking for what's missing. You're looking for what's wrong. You're looking for more instead of focusing on the abundance that's there. So you didn't even act on that intention. It was just a word. The intention itself is just really a thought. And we know what thoughts are. They're just energy signals going through the mind. Unless we take action on them, nothing happens. So there's a difference between having an intention and being intentional. Sometimes we can get stuck in the practice of having an intention, and we wonder why nothing changes. Every day we wake up and we think about what our intention is to be today, and we reflect on it for a few minutes, and then there it is. Ooh, patience. That's it. And we feel proud of ourselves for coming up with something new. And then the next day we say, what is it going to be today? Gratitude. Look at you. Bravo. And the next day, kindness, and so on, and so on. We don't follow that up with anything. So that's a practice of having an intention. So when we say you need to have an intention every single day, but then after a few weeks, what changes is if all you do is have the intention, but you don't do anything up with it, it's more of a mental thing. It lacks form. It lacks any other action. And that's really just conjuring up a word. What's the point of it, right? So here's where I want to put out a challenge. Instead of focusing on only coming up with an intention and saying, what's my intention today? We say, what intention will I act on today? What intention can I be intentional with? How can I be intentionally intentional? To be intentional. There's a difference in the words. The definition of intentional is done with intention or purpose. Intended, right? That means there's action on a plan or a goal or an ambition or a destination. And if we compare that with the definition of intention, the definition of intention says an act or instance of determining mentally upon some action or result. That means I'm going to think about it. literally. To act with intention means to act with thought only. To act intentionally means to act on purpose. To be intentionally intentional means to act with purpose on your intentions. There's a huge difference there. And it's not just wordplay, because in our practice of mindfulness, we know that words matter. Words can trigger certain things. They have multiple meanings. The intention, the energy behind the words can make a huge difference. They can make us feel as if we've accomplished something simply by saying something, right? Like when we say we're sorry, but we're not really sorry. I said, I'm sorry. I said, I'm sorry. Well, if the energy's not behind it, that person knows you're not really sorry. Or we're going to respond to some social media post and we give somebody a piece of our mind. There, take that. But did that solve anything? Maybe there was a little bit of an action because you typed it out, but not really. As we lean into the teachings that state everything is energy, here's the thing: the energy of thought is momentary, actually. A thought comes across your mind and it goes away unless you take action on it. When we put action behind the thought, we unlock such potential. The energy itself changes. As soon as we bring that thought into action, the energy around it shifts and there becomes power behind that. And the power behind intention is so amazing. When we put that power behind the thought, we recognize that intentional, we have the potential to unlock this unbound personal potential energy that's been trapped inside of our heart, to practice gratitude, to practice love. And when we start letting it from free, our heart starts to sing out and the energy changes. The energy of our life changes. And after that, nothing will seem impossible because we're aligned with our intentions. So someone who's intentionally intentional not only has intentions, but they also intend to carry them out. See the difference yet? To be intentionally intentional, we carefully make the choices we make. And we make the choices moving in the direction that we want to go. We can be intentional about every aspect of our life. And that includes the food we eat, the habits we practice, the people we surround ourselves, the way we take care of our home, the choices we make, our hobbies, and the books we read, and the shows we watch, and the way we start every day can be intentional with purpose and intention. Being intentional means we do these things with our ultimate end goal in mind. And the ultimate end goal in transformation is finding purpose and aligning with our passion. We have the ability to align all of our choices with intention, and that's being intentional. Living intentionally looks a bit different for everyone. We all have different beliefs and different goals and different motivations and different aspirations. But at its core, intentional living means having a purpose that we're working towards. The word transformation is a great word. It's a great word, but it only happens if we intentionally take the steps to transform our lives, right? It's not just about reading a book and we finish reading that book and we set it aside and that means I'm done. Absolutely not. If you don't take those words and put them in action, you just read a book, right? So being intentional isn't just about finding the right word every day. Being intentionally intentional means we practice being intentional every day, not just one way, but always. And as we start digging into those intentions and practicing them over and over and over again, after a while, that becomes the way you live. After you practice gratitude and abundance and love and compassion and faith and hope and joy, and suddenly those things become more powerful than fear and doubt and anger. And imagine that. But where do we start? How do I even start with this? Because I thought I had it all figured out, right? So for many, living intentionally starts with identifying our core values. We have to start somewhere, focusing on what matters most. What matters most to me? Our values should be the center of our being, the things that mean the most to me. They're the things that we hold most dear and cherish above all else. And they're not that hard to find because they're right there in front of us every day. If we get angry about something, that anger is pointing out something that we value. I value something and I got angry because somebody took it away from me or didn't align with it. If I'm sad or I'm upset about something, it's because somebody said or did something that made me feel unaligned with my value. If I'm missing somebody, it's showing me that I care about that person. If I get offended by something, it means that that person said something that went against my beliefs. Those messages are all there. These things don't happen just because they happen. They should be pointing us to our core values. But we hardly think about them. And our society doesn't really move us to reflect on them, but they're there. We live in a world where self reflection isn't taught in schools, and some consider it a waste of time. But if transformation is going to happen, this is exactly where we start reflecting, digging deep. And the first question we should begin to ask is, what's most important to me? What's most important to me? And we should start making lists of what's most important to me today, right? And then the next question might be, what behaviors do I admire most in people? What behaviors do I admire? That's a sign. If I respect somebody's opinion, it's because I admire them. If I feel moved or inspired by somebody, right? And then what do I believe to be true? That's a really tough one because we've convinced ourselves of so many things that really aren't true. We come back into the space and say, do I really believe that in my heart? Or do I believe that because somebody told me I believe that? And there's a difference. But as we start listing these things, whether we value family or helping those less fortunate or innovation or wealth or creativity or something else, by living intentionally, we start to move in alignment with our values and we start understanding that we're walking our path and life becomes fulfilling. Suddenly we're right where we're supposed to be because we're aligned with our truth. But recognize some of these things may change as transformation takes hold, right? If at first our value list includes money, as we start practicing gratitude, that might shift from money to being grateful for what we have. There's a big difference there. It's about paying attention without judgment or trying to force something. Because so many times we think this thing needs to be on my values list, but it doesn't feel true. Well, if it doesn't feel true, then it's not supposed to be there. But, well, somebody says this is really important in their life. Like, but maybe it's not important in yours. Or maybe you're not ready to reflect on it. Hmm. So instead of trying to find the word every day, to set our intention, we ask, what's most important to me today? What do I want to practice today? Who do I want to call or see? What is so special to me today? What more do I want to see in my life? And then be that thing. Get it? Be that thing. If we want to see more kindness in the world, then go out and be kind. If we want to see more things to be grateful for, then be grateful. If we want to see more love in the world, then guess what? It starts with you. Be love. And that's a great way to start to awaken this curiosity and ask why. Why am I doing this thing? Why am I putting this food in my body? Why am I letting this traffic stress me out? Why did I make plans to go out and hang out with that person that I truly don't even like? Why? Because we're supposed to? Because it's a habit? And when we start asking the why, we start peeling back the layers and we start to understand the intention that's driving our decisions. And sometimes it's an unintentional habit that this is what makes me feel good. Well, why does it make you feel good? If it's not aligned with your values, then it's something that's maybe they're covering up something else. It also helps if we check to make sure the things and the choices that we're making are in alignment with our values. And it's a good opportunity, if it's not, to pause and reflect and make a different choice because transformation doesn't happen by making the same old choices. And the last thing I want to point out is to be gentle with yourself because this stuff isn't easy. Stuff is hard. Also, life gets overwhelming sometimes. It can be so hard to balance everything that we have to do on our to-do list. And when things get particularly bad, it can feel like we're just going through the motions. And what is the first thing that we cross off our list when we're running behind? Self-care and self-reflection. Well, shouldn't it be the other way around? Right? But I just want to tune out and relax. Well, when intentional living becomes a struggle, that's when it's most important to pause and take a breath and make sure we're living in alignment with our purpose, because we're wasting a whole lot of energy on things that don't matter, because this shouldn't be stressful. When we start living lives with purpose and passion aligned with our values, we start to flow. That doesn't mean we're not going to be busy. That doesn't mean we're not going to have stress, but it means it's worth it. And we start replenishing our cup because we're feeding ourselves, we're loving ourselves. And instead of leaving whatever little time remains at the end of the day for self-care and reflection, we need to make it a priority. To transform our lives, we need to make self-reflection and self-care a priority, to put it front and center in our life, above all else. I'm not saying quit your job and take care of yourself, but there's time. If we start reflecting on how much time we waste on the things that don't matter, suddenly we have lots of time. We can start the morning by journaling or meditating, reading or reflecting, do some stretching, exercising, or go for a walk, or just step outside and get some fresh air, to make a phone call and reach out to a friend or a family member to just catch up, to take a break in the middle of the workday and go outside and see the sun. All these little things lead to this attention, self-care, to realign with ourselves, with our purpose, to take in a deep breath and say, does this really matter? Life's a marathon and not a sprint. And sometimes we stumble, but we keep moving forward. And sometimes if we feel stuck, it's because we're not aligned with our values and our purpose. When we feel stuck, it's a good time to check in, to make sure our actions are in alignment with what we hope to achieve and what we dream to be successful at. Living intentionally is such a great way to make life more meaningful and to live by our values. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice. You can't just wake up one day and suddenly say, I'm leading a more mindful life. Well, mindfulness takes practice. Everything takes practice. And that's why one of our mantras in our school is, what you practice grows stronger. So when we take that pause, we say, what am I practicing right now? And is what I'm practicing going to get me where I want to be? If it's not, take a step back. It's a lifelong choice that we need to make to better ourselves. And it takes work. Trust me, it's worth it, though. It's definitely worth it. So, with all that, just let it sit for a moment. Just reflect for a moment on what all that means. And then I'm going to come and lead a meditation. Just a simple, I think it's only like 10-minute meditation. And I want you to just tune into it for a moment. Allow yourself to go on this gentle meditative journey. And to begin, whatever you're doing, just make yourself as comfortable as you can and relax down into your breath. And perhaps just set the intention to listen and reflect on the words that I say. Don't overthink it. But as we reflect on the power of being intentional, we can start right here by simply being intentional with this practice. To simply be with it and to reflect on it and take what resonates with you from it. Maybe you can reflect and recognize so much of our life is done on autopilot. We wake up in the morning and begin our routine of our daily life, but perhaps this can help bring a shift. Perhaps we can begin the day with a sense of mindfulness and intention. We often go through our days with such urgency and we rarely check in with our body and our mind, but that can set the direction of our life when we do. So again, however you want to feel this meditation or experience it, just get settled down. And if you're comfortable with it, go ahead and close your eyes and tune into your breath and bring your awareness to your body. Maybe take one of your hands and place it on your chest or your tummy and become aware of the movement that's there. Just take a moment and tune in and become aware of your body and your breath and check into what it feels like to be right here, right now. And just breathe. Now, I want you to reflect on this question. What quality do you want to most engage in today? Quality or intention, value. By quality, I mean something that you can cultivate through the day. It could be patience, it could be generosity, kindness, or gratitude. Focus on something that you know. Focus on something that you'd want to see more of in your life. Even if you're the kindest person, the most patient and generous person that you know, there's never enough, right? When we lean into those qualities, we align with the energy of them. So I might be the most patient person in the world, but if I embrace the energy of patience and I start walking with patience through the day, suddenly those qualities get bigger. And by putting that energy out, we invite others in. Without them even knowing it, they can feel that energy exuding from you. They sense your energy and feel it, and oftentimes reflect it back if they resonate with it, if they're in that space where they feel it. The sense of your energy gets stronger and stronger as you practice these things. When we're kind to others, we invite them to be kind in return. The more generous we are, suddenly we see that generosity reflected back at us. Not from everybody, but from those who are aligned with it in the moment. And if those people that we encounter don't reflect it back, it's just because they're not ready or they're not able. People have their own stuff. Don't take it personally. Just keep doing it. So take this time to just focus on one quality. Think about the quality that you want to cultivate today. What is it? And breathe. What is the thing that you want to see more of? Maybe that intention is I'm going to be generous, or I'm going to be patient, or I'm going to be kind. Whatever it might be for you today, don't force it, just be with it. And recognize you're not just saying the word. Right here, right now, I'm asking you to commit that word to action. Breathe into it. Now, as you think about your day and you're aligned yourself with that intention, think about what you're going to be doing through the day today. Maybe you're going to attend a meeting or lots of meetings. Maybe you're going to be holed up in your office doing a lot of work. Maybe you're going to spend some time with family or friends, or you have your whole to-do list today. But as you think about the things that lie ahead in your day, ask yourself, what will that intention do? How could you bring that intention into the stuff that lies ahead? How can you cultivate that so it manifests in your relationships and in your job? Just see if you can loosely visualize yourself moving through this day aligned with that intention. How will you react to that person that you know knows how to push your buttons? How will you react when you get stuck in traffic and you're running late? Try to identify what might be the most challenging part of the day ahead and just acknowledge that it's there. And then turn your mind to the intention and see if you can cultivate that. Turn your mind to the patience, the kindness, the generosity. As you think through your day, who are you going to see today? Who are you going to talk to today? How will you respond when you see that person or those people? And what is the energy that you're going to be putting out? As we start mapping out how we're going to move forward, aligned with intention, we can focus on the energy that we're putting out and recognize that people respond to that energy oftentimes without even knowing what's going on with you. If you're walking through your life ready for battle, well, you're going to find things to be battling. If you walk through your life looking for things to be angry about, you're going to find those things. But if you take a step back and you recognize those things are ego-driven protectors, and you start moving through your life aligned with love and compassion and faith and hope and generosity and forgiveness, suddenly the energy changes and you can start manifesting those things because you're walking in those things. Manifestation doesn't happen just by thinking of the word. It happens by aligning yourself with the energy of the word. And it's not just a word then, it's energy. And if we reflect on that, just sit and reflect for a moment on the energy, the word that is yours. Slow down and breathe into it. And breathe that down into your body. And think about the energy of your intention. And ask yourself where you feel it in your body. Where do you feel it, if anywhere? As you think about your intention, perhaps now take one of your hands and place it over your heart. Feel that. Think about that intention and feel the energy that's there. And remember, it's always there. That intention didn't come from somewhere else. It came from your heart. And you can tap into that energy at any time. When you face life's challenges, when things tend to get in your way, as you go through your day, your heart is always waiting. Maybe as you move through the day ahead, you can take a moment, stand in front of a mirror, and verbalize your intention. Sometimes saying it out loud helps you connect with the sound, and the sound will lead to healing, transformation. Because sound plus intention equals healing. Maybe you could write it down when we're finished. Or you can set a reminder on your phone. A reminder that might come up and say, patience, generosity, kindness. Whatever it might be, whatever's going to help you reflect on this from time to time. Whatever intention you want to cultivate through your day. Just breathe into it. And know as you move through your day, the intention might change. Maybe something challenges you, or you see somebody suffering, and suddenly a new intention pops up. Because the seeds of those intentions are in your heart, and as you start nurturing them more and more, they want to be seen in those times they're challenged. We can come back to them over and over and over again. Practicing living with intention on a daily basis. And what that means to you personally. It might shift every single day. You might nurture it for weeks and weeks on end. But whatever it is, it's worth it. Now just breathe for another couple moments. Feel the energy of that intention. Take a moment to connect to your breath, connect to your body, and feel the energy that's there. And now maybe open your eyes. Once again, make a commitment to use this practice, to be intentionally intentional, and cultivate the qualities that you want to see more of in your life and in the world around you. All I have to say about that. So thank you all for joining today. look forward to speaking to you again in a couple weeks. I'm Coach Bill with Meditate School of Mindfulness and Sound. Great day.